This is the Department of Family and Protective Services versus Heather Serata. This is a request for a court-ordered service case. Mr. Miller is appearing on behalf of the Department of Family and Protective Services. Mr. Harwood is here appearing on behalf of the mother, Heather Serata, who is present with him. And Ms. Avalla has been appointed and represents all 4 children in the case: Leilani, Valentine, Alia, and Everly.
Good morning, Ms. Serata. I wanted to talk to you about the night of December 14th. Let's see, is it true on that night that you dropped off your child with your child's father, Mr. Pham, because you were going out for the evening?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Does he usually babysit y'all's child together, or is that a common thing, or?
No,
Okay. What was the reason you asked him to babysit that night?
because it was my birthday. And I
Okay.
wanted to go out for a little bit.
Okay. And what time did you drop your child off?
About 11:15 at night.
Okay. And then what did you go do?
I met with a friend and went to the river.
Okay. Were you drinking while you were out there?
Yes.
Okay. What time did you stop drinking and head out from the river?
I don't remember.
Okay. Did you call Mr. Pham and ask him if you could pick your child up?
No.
How did you end up back at his home?
Honestly, I don't remember.
Okay. What do you remember from that night once you arrived at his home?
From leaving the river until being in the back of the police car, nothing. I also have suspicions that I was drugged.
Okay. Have you talked to the police or anyone about the suspicion you have of being drugged?
Yes, I did talk to George Harwood, and we're wanting to get the blood to test it.
Okay. So you were saying that you don't remember anything from when you left the river to whenever you were in the back of a police car?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And why were you in the back of the police car? What were you arrested for?
When I came to, all I remember is arguing with the cop about who is going to get my daughter because I'm legally married to somebody else.
But what was the charge that you were arrested for?
I wasn't aware until I talked to George.
Do you know what the charge is now?
Yes, sir.
And what is it?
DWI with child under 15.
Okay. And do you know, did you do a blood draw?
Yes, sir.
Do you know what the result of that was?
I don't know the number specifically. I'd have to ask George.
Okay. Wait 1 second. What's currently going on with your criminal case?
Object to that, it invades the attorney-client relationship and is not relevant for the purpose of this hearing.
All right, I'll sustain. If you have a specific question, Mr. Miller, I'll let you ask, but you may get the same objection. But
Okay. Do you currently have an intoxilock or anything in your car?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Do you know whenever your next court date is?
No, sir.
Okay. What happened after you were arrested? Where did your child end up?
She stayed with her father.
Okay. And that's where she is currently?
Yes.
Okay. And you guys actually have a custody case going on right now, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. What is the current situation? Are you having visits, or what's going on there?
We have 50-50 conservatorship. I see her every Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m.
Okay. Okay. Um, let's see. So do you believe that you said you went to the river to drink? You don't believe that you drank enough for you to be as intoxicated as you were that night?
Objection to that, Your Honor, calls for her to speculate and guess her level of intoxication and where it may have come from.
All right, I'll sustain. It's speculation.
How much alcohol did you have to drink at the river?
I'm object to that. It invades what we're trying to do in the criminal case and actually would, in my opinion, at this point, violate her Fifth Amendment rights against self-incrimination. We've not disposed of the criminal case. It's still pending, and I've been lenient in letting him ask questions, but I've got to draw the line there.
Right, are you advising your client to invoke her Fifth Amendment right to
I
her
am- I-
privilege against self-incrimination?
Yes, ma'am, as to how much she had to drink and what it was and that kind of thing.
All right, Ms. Serata, you understand your attorney is advising you not to answer that question based on the fact that it might incriminate you further in the criminal matter, and that you have a Fifth Amendment right to decline to answer that.
Yes, ma'am.
Is that what you're wanting to do?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right, Mr. Miller, you can ask another question.
Who all was out at the river with you that night?
Objection again, Your Honor. She has the right not to answer that, but because it might tend to incriminate her. And we've already allowed some detail, but that would go beyond what we are willing to testify to here today. And that's so on her behalf, I'd invoke her Fifth Amendment rights as to that question also.
Okay, I have no idea how that would, who was present might incriminate her, but it would go as to the criminal matter. So, Mr. Miller, at abundance of caution, Ms. Serata, if you decline to answer that question based on your Fifth Amendment right, then you just need to tell me that.
I decline to answer on my Fifth Amendment right.
All right, Mr. Miller, you can ask another question.
What is your history with alcohol? Have you had any past issues? Have you ever been arrested for anything like this before?
No, sir, I'm actually a parole officer. If I had a history, then I wouldn't have been where I am today.
So you do not, it sounds today like you're not really taking responsibility for what you did that night. You just believe someone else drugged you.
That's an improper question, irrelevant for the purpose of this proceeding. Whether or not she's taking responsibility has to be addressed at a later point, and I'd object to it on that basis.
I'm going to overrule. She can answer whether she's accepting any responsibility or not, or I'm going to allow her to answer that.
At the end of the day, I did get this charge, and it is my responsibility, and I will face everything that I have to. I believe I was drugged on certain circumstances. I've paid money to get a hair follicle, and I'm going to pay money to get my blood tested. I wouldn't pay all this money for no reason.
But your blood was tested by the police, correct?
Not for drugs, just for alcohol.
Okay. Since that evening, have you taken any steps to address what happened that night?
I see Kimberly Mendoza on Doctor on Demand,
Who is Kimberly Mendoza?
a counselor. I've seen her since July of 25.
Okay, so that was happening before this.
Yes, sir.
Does it concern you that you were driving with your child in your car at a level of intoxication that you don't remember anything from that night?
Well, yeah, I know if I was in a clear mind, I wouldn't have done that. I wouldn't have drove.
Okay.
I wouldn't have gone to pick on my child. I've never drank with my other kids like that.
Okay. I pass the witness, Judge.
May I proceed, Your Honor?
You may.
Heather, how old are you?
I'm 30.
And are you married?
Yes.
Who's your husband?
Valentine Serata,
How long have the two of you been together?
5 years.
You have children with him?
Yes.
How many?
1,
How old is that child?
4.
And you have two older children from a previous relationship, is that right?
Yes.
And what are their names and ages, please?
I have Everly Friesenhahn. She is 8. Alia Candace Friesenhahn. She is 6.
And you've had those three children in the home with you continuously since before your arrest.
Yes, sir.
Now, are you currently employed as a parole officer?
I am still employed. Yes.
And what did you do before you became a parole officer?
I worked at Potter County
In what capacity?
as a jailer.
Before that, where did you work?
The Clements Unit,
And before that,
Chavez County, in Roswell, Mexico.
have you had to take a psychological examination in conjunction with your employment as a corrections officer?
Yes.
And when did you do that?
It would have been August of 23
Okay. And where does your husband work?
at the Clements Unit.
And you already told him you have no criminal history at all, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Because you couldn't be a parole officer or a corrections officer if you had some kind of criminal history.
Yes, sir.
Did you cooperate fully with Ms. Reynosa when she came out to your house?
Yes.
At the time that she came, did she express any particular concerns to you?
No.
Did she ask to see the older girls because they were out of town at that time?
Yes.
And did you make the older girls available to CPS personnel as quickly as you could?
Yes.
Now, we've already had you testify, but you're under some kind of strict bond conditions as a result of this DWI, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And you've have an ignition interlock installed on your vehicle.
Yes, sir.
Are you driving?
No, sir.
How do you get around?
My mother or my husband.
Okay. And your older daughter, you told me, is already in some treatment with TPC because of some mental emotional issues that she has that has nothing to do with this.
Yes, sir.
How long has she been with TPC?
Since she was 5, so about almost 4 years now.
Okay. Did you suffer some postpartum depression after you had Leilani?
Yes.
And Leilani was born on November the 23rd of 25, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And did this incident occur on or about the night of December the 14th?
Yes, sir.
And did you voluntarily have a hair follicle done on January the 16th of 26?
Yes, sir.
And who did that testing?
Any lab test now?
What was the result of that test?
All negative.
And you and your husband have not separated over this matter, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And there's no contemplation that you're going to get a divorce or anything.
No, sir. We're doing better than ever.
Are you going to church?
Yes, sir.
Where are you going?
Trinity Fellowship
And how often do you go?
every Sunday.
You and the children and your husband?
Yes, sir. And my niece and my great nieces.
Okay. And you did not sign the CPS safety plan because I recommended that you not do that.
Yes, sir.
And that was primarily to do with the pending criminal case and the pending custody case that exists still. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And do you feel like you need services from CPS?
No, sir.
I'll pass the witness.
All right, Ms. Avalla, do you have any questions?
So you said you took a hair follicle on January 15th, 2026,
Yes, ma'am.
and that was shown to be all negative.
Yes, ma'am. I have it on my phone.
So why is it that you believe that you were drugged?
It was a friend that I went out with. When I was talking to him, a lot of things didn't add up. I had, because I didn't realize until we went to the temporary custody hearing when Zach, the dad's lawyer, was asking me certain things, I realized there's a 3-hour gap of things I didn't remember. And so how I thought my night went, it didn't. And And I started asking my friend's question, and he couldn't answer, or he couldn't give me a time frame or anything. And I remember being just fine and then blacked out. And then when I was in the jail, I had asked for, or when I was getting booked in, I didn't think I needed a pad because I had stopped bleeding. Well, when I had gotten changed, I noticed blood, and I just chopped it up from being postpartum, and it may well have been. And then when I got in the cell, I had already bled through my pad, and so I wanted a tampon. When I put the tampon in, it hurt excruciatingly bad. And I still didn't think about it. Well, when I got home, my husband was like, why do you have a hickey? And I said, that's not a hickey, because I never remember touching him. And he even was like, do you have the hickey? And I was like, when did any of this happen? And he just couldn't tell me a straight story at all. And kind of he didn't talk to me after that. And not like it wasn't anybody that I was talking to or was being sexual with or anything. It was a friend that I was talking to because he kind of went through the same stuff that I did. And none of it made sense. And I had talked at my postpartum appointment with my doctor. I had talked to him and the nurse about it, and she also thinks that maybe it could have happened, but it was too late to do a rape kit, and she wasn't for sure if anything would be in my system still because it was past 30 days, and everything I guess metabolizes in a couple hours to 30 days. And so my best bet was do a hair follicle, and I called around and found a place that did it.
Okay. But didn't you just say the hair follicle was negative?
Yes, ma'am.
When you were arrested that night, there was a blood test for alcohol, correct?
Correct.
And if you know, what were the results of that test?
I
They were
don't,
0.16.
All right, then, Mr. Harwood, are you stipulating that it was what?
0.16, Your Honor, if it's a one occasion only. She didn't have any prior history of alcohol abuse at all. And as she testified, she went out with what she thought was a friend on her birthday weekend, and here we are.
Okay. I just want the record to be clear. The witness didn't answer that question. Counsel is stipulating that that's what the number was.
Yes, ma'am, that's fine.
Okay.
The older girls, I understand they were out of town at that time, but do they normally live with you?
they've always lived with me.
So they were just out of town for a visit?
Yes.
I passed the witness.
All right, Mr. Miller?
I guess I would like to ask, since you went into it with Miss Avalla, so you were just out at the river with one other person that night?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And how long have you known this person?
For a while. I couldn't tell you 5 months or anything.
Okay. So this isn't someone you just met, this is someone you've known for some time?
Yes, but I've never been one-on-one.
Okay. Okay. And so you did say your blood result was a 0.16.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Do you know what the legal limit is to drive?
Yes, sir.
What is that?
0.08.
Okay. I have no further questions, Judge.
All right, Mr. Harwood, any further questions?
Just real quickly, was your daughter Leilani, who was less than a month old at that time, injured in any way?
No, sir.
And who placed Leilani with Mr. Pham, your friend from the jail? How did Zach come to have possession of Leilani that night?
He placed her in the car, and I'm not sure if he called the cops before or right after, but I got pulled over.
And did you ask them to let Leilani go with your husband?
Yes, sir.
Because he's the presumed father of the child.
Yes, sir.
And it was determined by somebody in the police department to let Mr. Pham have the child.
Yes, sir.
But that's not what you wanted to happen.
No, sir.
And did you have a car seat for the child?
Yes, sir.
Was it properly installed?
Yes, sir.
And did Mr. Pham in fact put the child into the car seat and tell you to go?
Yes, sir.
And it was after that you were stopped with by Emerald Police Department.
Yes, sir.
And how far from Mr. Pham's home were you when you were stopped?
Couple houses down.
Okay. And there's no other evidence that you're aware of erratic or improper driving?
No, sir.
Pass the witness.
Am I guessing that there's been some genetic testing ordered in the other case?
No, there was I never had heard of it before, but when she was in, I'll just say what happened. She was in Austin in May of last year for going through the Parole Academy and found out she was pregnant. So she and Mr. Pham decided to do what they could to find out if it was his. So she had some testing of the child in the womb to determine paternity, and Mr. Pham did come back on that test at 99 whatever %. And we're not disputing that he's the biological father. The presumed father is her husband, but he understands and is waiving any rights he might have to the child. But that's the only genetic testing that's been done, Your Honor.
All right, I just was curious. Okay. All right, Ms. Avalla, did you have any further questions?
No, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. Miller, anything further of this witness?
Just very briefly, Judge. So you just stated that you that night you had asked if your child could go with your husband. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And when was that done?
When I was arguing with the police officer in the back of the cop car.
Oh, okay. Okay. And then you stated that let's see. So I'm just trying to get this right. You asked the police officer if your husband could come pick the child up, and he said no. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So you remember that conversation with that police officer, but you don't remember anything before that?
That's when I came to.
Okay. Okay, no further questions.
Okay. Anybody have any other questions?
I don't, Your Honor. Not of this witness.
No, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. Miller, do you have any additional witnesses?
Just Ms. Reynoso.
All right. Ms. Reynoso, if you'll raise your right hand for me. You solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you give today will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Yes, I do.
Okay.
Judge, I'm just reminding you real quick, I just have 5 minutes.
Okay. How long are you gonna be?
It'll take me about 15.
Okay. If we'll see. I may just have to record to proceed, but I'll tell you what, let me see the attorneys in a breakout room real quickly.
Okay,
Mr. Howard, your client will just have to step out.
she's doing that right now.
Okay. I'm gonna put everybody in room 2. And I'll join in there. All right. Okay, counsel, I have determined that I don't think that there is an immediate risk to the children's health and safety and well-being. I think that the mother in this case has got quite a bit of family support. She's also involved in another conservatorship case, one of the children where there's obviously going to be some oversight and scrutiny. So I'm going to dismiss the order to participate, the petition at the request of the department, with the understanding that mom and the department are agreeing that the mother won't drive by herself with any of the children for the next 90 days. And then the department will need to just have the caseworker swing by Mr. Harwood to her home to see the children and make sure, and then close out the case. So I'll dismiss the petition for that order to participate based on mom's agreement with the department on those 2 issues. And George, you're muted.
I was just gonna ask Ms. Reynoso if she knew when she might want to come by the house. Is it today or tomorrow, or you have any idea?
If it works with her schedule, I can certainly go by today.
What, you have a particular time in mind this afternoon? She has the baby with her until I think 5 o'clock.
Yes, I can do. Is 2 o'clock okay?
I would not see a problem with that. I'll tell her that to expect you at 2 o'clock.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
We're excused now, I presume.
Yes, thank you all very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Your Honor. Goodbye.
In the interest of Leland and Leilani Roberts, cause number 95619D, in the interest of Aviana Roberts, excuse me, and cause number 100472E, in the interest of Ezra Roberts. Okay, we're here today for each case on an adversary hearing. We are conducting this through Zoom. We are live streaming, and Ms. Taylor is making our record. All right, we'll go ahead and take announcements.
Melinda Powell for the Texas Department of Family and Protective Services. We are present and ready to announce an agreement in the matters.
Savannah Kincaid, I represent Ms. Roberts. She's present and we're ready.
Stacy Avalla on behalf of all the children.
All right, and Mr. Lyons is present. Mr. Hammonds, my understanding is already signed an agreed order, so that would indicate that Mr. Lyons is in agreement. Mr. Lyons, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, sir, thank you.
I said we're ready to announce an agreement. I do need to, if we have an agreement with mom, we will need to put on some brief testimony in regards to the 2 other fathers.
Right, okay. So Mr. Vasquez is not present, nor is Mr. Diaz. We will go ahead and take up some testimony with respect to those 2 gentlemen. So Ms. Powell, who's your first witness?
My witness will be Angelica Taylor.
Okay, Ms. Taylor, if you'll unmute for me and raise your right hand. You solemnly swear the testimony you'll give will be the truth today?
Yes, I do.
Okay, just be sure you speak up for me.
And Judge, if I may, in regards to the mother, I think it's Devonna, is that how you say the name?
Yes, Devon.
Okay, in regards to the mother, Stevonna Roberts, she has agreed that the department will be named temporary managing conservator of the child. And she will work services. Of course, that will be further addressed at the status hearing. And then in regards to the respondent father Cricket Lyons, Mr. Hammonds did sign the order indicating that Mr. Lyons is in agreement with the department being named temporary managing conservator as well. And so just to get those matters out of the way.
No child support.
No child support, no, these are all, so in regards to Aviana Roberts, it is a modification. Let me look and see if
I think it is on all of them.
I'm gonna flip through, Judge, if there was child support ordered, that would be redirected towards the department. I haven't flipped through, but I can check all of that, Judge. But, in regards to mother, there'd be no child support ordered for mom.
All right, I'm just gonna say any prior child support would be redirected to the department.
Okay,
No child support payable by mother.
okay,
Alright.
that worked. Miss Taylor, please state your name.
Angelica Taylor.
And Miss Taylor, how are you currently employed?
I'm an investigator with the Texas Department of Family and Protective Services.
Okay. And are you familiar with all three of the cases involving these 4 children?
Yes, I am.
Okay, and in regards to Leilani and Leland Roberts, their father is identified as Devadje Vasquez, is that correct?
That's correct.
And have you had any contact with Mr. Vasquez?
No, I have not.
Have you attempted to locate Mr. Vasquez?
Yes.
What attempts have you made to locate Mr. Vasquez?
I ran an accurate and finders report on him to look for phone numbers and addresses. I have contacted several phone numbers with no answer. I've sent an email to a known email, and as recent as yesterday, I attempted another address, and I've had no response.
Okay. Have you been able to locate any family members or anybody to contact?
No.
Okay, so at this point in time, have you made diligent efforts to locate the father?
Yes.
And at this point in time, would you have enough information to determine whether he could do you have enough information to determine whether he could care for his 2 children?
No.
And is that based upon just the inability to locate him?
Yes.
Okay, and then in regards to Aviana, is that how you say her name?
Yes, Aviana.
Okay, is Aviana's father Alex Diaz Jr.?
Yes.
Have you had any contact with Mr. Diaz?
I've had one phone call with him.
Okay, and did you discuss with him that that the department was taking possession of the child?
Yes, I did inform him of that, and we had scheduled a time to meet to discuss further later on.
Okay, and when were you supposed to meet with him?
Last Friday, the 13th.
Hey, did he show up at that meeting?
No, I went to his home. He did not answer. I called his phone while I was outside of his home. He did not answer. But I did make him aware of the suit and today's hearing.
Okay, did you provide him a link to this hearing today?
Yes, I did.
Okay, and after just that one contact, that's the only contact you've had?
Yes.
Okay, and based upon his failure to respond, do you know if he's able to provide for his child?
No.
Okay, are you asking today that the department be named temporary managing conservator of all 3 of these children?
Yes.
And do you believe that that request is in the best interest of the children?
Yes.
Okay, I pass the witness.
Okay, we got four kiddos.
Or 4 children, I'm sorry, 3 cases, 4 kids.
It's okay. Okay, then, Ms. Kincaid.
No questions, Your Honor.
All right, and Ms. Avalla, do you have any questions?
I just have some questions about possible family placement. I saw in the investigative report, there was a mention of looking at a great aunt, I believe Frankie. Has anything further been done on that?
I did submit a home study request to be done on her, so that's already been submitted for Leilani and Aviana. And then for Leland and Ezra, mom provided Roxanne York as being a possible placement option for those two. I did try to contact her yesterday, but I think she might have just thought I was a spam call. So I plan to reach out today again. If I can get a hold of her, I can send that request today.
Right, and just to let you know, after speaking to the girls, I have a list of names as well. So if those don't pan out, I'd like to go ahead and give you guys that information off the record here. No further questions, Your Honor.
Okay. All right, Ms. Powell, anything further of this witness today?
No, Your Honor, nothing further of this witness, and I have looked through these, and Leilani and Leland's case is a modification. There was previously child support ordered in that one, and Aviana Roberts' case was a modification. There was previously child support ordered in that one, so that would just be redirected to the department. And I cannot find in Ezra's that there was a order for child support. I will check on that, Judge, and if there was, then obviously that would be redirected as well.
I'm just showing he was already adjudicated as the father, so I assume maybe we had an order, but
I'm digging through that final order right now, Judge, and then I can.
okay. Mr. Lyons,
Yes, ma'am.
have you been ordered to pay child support for your child?
It was dismissed. The child support case was dropped.
Okay, there was a proceeding pending, but it's been dropped now.
Yes, ma'am.
It was not, Judge. I'm looking at it right now. There is an order establishing parent-child relationship that was entered just in January in that matter. However, as I scroll through this, he was not, there's zero medical support. And I don't see that child support was ordered either.
May not have had service on him.
Possession and access, on page 4, we can finish up and I'll finish looking at this order. Judge Kilm's pretty
Okay.
good about catching these.
Yeah, okay. Okay, any additional witnesses?
No, Your Honor.
All right, then Ms. Kincaid, anything to present today?
No, Your Honor.
Uh-huh.
All right, Ms. Avalla.
Your Honor, I was able to meet with the girls. They are doing very well in placement. We were also able to speak with placement for the boys. They are doing very well. The girls are very excited about their second visit with mom today, and we're excited to hear that this is a reunification case and that the goal is to get them back with mom. They did also provide me a list of different family members. So I'll provide that to all parties so that we can try to identify a family placement if at all possible. I do believe that this agreement is in the children's best interest.
All right, thank you.
I found that,
Okay.
Judge. There was no child support ordered.
Okay, but he was adjudicated.
He's been adjudicated. There is no child support.
Okay. All right, so Mr. Lyons, that may be something you want to talk with Mr. Hammonds about, but you were adjudicated as the father of the child, but there's not been any support ordered. So you are definitely the child's father, but probably because they didn't have service on you or something, they didn't set any kind of support, so. Okay, then I am going to find the evidence is sufficient to name the Department of Family and Protective Services as the temporary managing conservator of all 4 children. And we'll expect parents to work services. We'll talk about that more at the status hearing. Any prior child support ordered in any of those cases will be redirected, and any medical support that was ordered would be redirected to the department. Not going to order any new child support or medical support to be payable by the mother or by Mr. Lyons at this time. We may potentially address that down the line. But not right now. And I'll sign the order when it's presented to me, and I'll see you all back for our status hearing on April 9th of 2026. That'll be on a 9 o'clock docket. So April 9th. You'll get a new link, just like today, but it'll be a new link, and I'll see everybody then.
Thank you, Judge. I think that's it for me today. May I be excused?
Yes, ma'am. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Your Honor.
In the interest of Isaiah Jeffries, Blaziana Dunn, Mickey Pineda, and Kira Jeffries. We're here today set for a final in this case. We are conducting this through Zoom. We're also live streaming. And Ms. Taylor is making our record. All right, we'll go ahead and take announcements.
Melinda Powell for the Texas Department of Family and Protective Services. We are present and we are making an oral motion for an extension in this matter, Judge.
Bailey Sapien on behalf of member Jeffries. My client's present and we're ready, and we are opposed to the motion.
Tracy Riley, I'm appearing for the father, Keon Mathis. He is not present, Judge. He is in the custody of TDCJ. We are not opposed to the extension.
Brooks Barfield, counsel for unknown father. I'm here, present and ready.
Savannah Kincaid for alleged father Trayvon Johnson. I've not had contact with my client, but I'm ready.
Stacy Zavala on behalf of all the children. I'm also in agreement on seeking the extension in the best interest of the kids and working towards reunification.
All right, let me make sure. Ms. Sapien, I just want to verify I heard you correctly that you are opposed to the extension?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, all right. Okay. Well, all right then, Ms. Powell, I guess I need to hear from the department. What are the extraordinary circumstances?
And Judge, do you want me to just make arguments, or do you want me to call Mr. Outley? I don't know how people feel about that.
Well, if there's no objection, I'd like to just hear from everybody because we are running on a really tight docket this morning. So anybody have any objection letting the lawyers just give me their positions?
No, Your Honor.
No, Your Honor.
No, Your Honor.
All right,
No,
then.
Your Honor.
Thank you, Judge. The older 3 kids are already placed back in the home with mom. Those 3 children are doing well. In regards to Isaiah, he is not placed back in the home at this point in time. St. Francis is trying to work the child back into the home. It's my understanding that there's been 1 unsupervised visitation at this point in time. And Isaiah does have some medical issues that are going on. He requires daily breathing treatments. I believe he's requiring 2 a day. The mother has been invited to attend doctor's appointments. St. Francis would like to see some more extended visitation and a mother participating in those doctor's appointments and such prior to getting out of this case. And so St. Francis is requesting the extension in order to really try to work towards reunification at this point in time. We're just not quite there yet. And Mr. Outley, did I miss anything? I think that was pretty much the bulk of the issue.
Yes.
Where is he placed?
He is here local in
He is here
Amarillo.
locally.
Mhm.
And doctor's appointments are here locally.
Mhm.
And Judge, depending on how much how mom participates in the visitation, the consistency. I don't really foresee this being a full 6 months. We just need to really see more engagement in order to feel comfortable finalizing.
What, let me just ask, are we going to, ultimately, are we going to try to get orders? I mean, we've got one dad that's been adjudicated, Mr. Mathis. And, the other dads are just alleged. Are we just, is the intent to just dismiss and let everything go back to where it was? Or is the department wanting to get orders entered with respect to all the kids and fathers?
And really, Judge, I think at this point in time, if the kids are all returned and doing well, I don't know that there's necessity to get orders to get final orders. It's my understanding that Mr. Mathis is really going to kind of be out of pocket until until his child is an adult. There's not going to be the ability to order child support. He's not going to be in a position to ever exercise access or possession of his child. And with the others just being alleged, if Miss Jeffries wants to go get child support at some point in time, she can certainly go do that in regards to the alleged fathers. And so I don't know that there would be the necessity to get final orders on this case. If we are going to try to get final orders on the case, I think we have some procedural issues with having 4 different kids with 4 different fathers in one order. I think at that point in time, we're going to have to consider severing some kids out. In regards to the child with the deceased father, I mean, it would make sense to non-suit him prior to getting any final orders. So I think if we're going to get final orders, there's some procedural issues that we're going to need to take care of. But if the parties are okay with, once the youngest child is returned home doing well and St. Francis is comfortable with dismissing, I think a flat out dismissal would be appropriate and really, just put everybody back in the same position.
Okay.
That was a long way of saying, I don't know, Judge.
Yeah, well, just when I was reviewing it for today's hearing, my question was, just dismissal versus that. So, has mom made any of the medical appointments? Because we've talked about this before.
I believe she went to one.
One of how many are we talking about?
Antar, do you have that information?
There's been 3 so far.
And Judge St. Francis certainly understands that Miss Jeffries has a lot on her plate with 3 of the children returned home. However, with Isaiah's needs, St. Francis believes that she really needs to be involved and make sure that she can take care of all of those medical needs. And so we're not trying to discount what Miss Jeffries has done and is doing. We just really need to make sure that everything will be good with all 4 children.
Is he on track at this point in time as far as, I mean, I know he was gaining weight and he was about to walk and
Yes, he's doing significantly better, has gained lots of weight, and is doing much, much better.
so is this a question of just monitoring, maintaining, or do we have? I mean, in other words, is he on track to overcome whatever issues that he's had?
I believe so. Yes. Yes, absolutely.
So we're not talking about things that are going to be present the rest of his life.
At this point, the only thing that I believe, and Antar can correct me if I'm wrong, he's got twice a day breathing treatments that he's got to do. And that may be the only continuing issue other than continuing to monitor and make sure that he's continuing to get the nutrition he needs.
Is he on a special diet?
At this point, no, it's just making sure that he's eating regularly. And one of the issues that we talked about last time is when we do the visits with all the kids, naturally it's very chaotic and exciting. And that's a time when a baby may not want to just calm down and eat. And so what we really talked about last time was making sure that those individual visits with Mom and Isaiah happen, so we can make sure that that feeding is happening, because Isaiah's coming back what appears to be very, very hungry, and it doesn't seem to be eating much during those visits. So the individual visits without the other kids there would ensure that Mom and Isaiah are bonding and that's happening. But it sounds like even as recently as Tuesday, those individual visits keep getting canceled. Now she'll reschedule them, and again, she's got her hands full. But those individual visits are getting canceled and then rolled into the family visits. So it's been hard to monitor the individual interaction.
Okay. All right. I want to hear from Ms. Sapien.
Thank you, Judge. Your Honor, obviously, Ms. Jeffries has been compliant with her service plan. She's completed her service plan for some time. In August of 2025, Mr. Outley testified that he was comfortable with the children being returned home. At that time, we started working on integrating the 3 back and waiting for the baby. And then in December of 2025, we talked about stepping up to get the baby home. Ms. Jeffries was not offered unsupervised visits until February 6th of this year. And so I feel like these delays in her getting this access is not her fault, and she shouldn't be punished. And so if the court is inclined today to grant this extension, I would request that a monitored return be ordered immediately, Judge. She's done what she needs to do. She's bonded to the baby. I have concerns about these reports coming in that he was returned from the unsupervised visit not properly fed. I don't think anyone here on this hearing has personal knowledge of that. I think my client can testify that he was fed. So I would just ask the court to take that into consideration when making a decision today.
Okay. Ms. Kincaid, you don't really have a dog in this fight, but anything you need to add or?
Nothing to add, Your Honor.
Okay, Ms. Riley?
Judge, our only issue was really just that if obviously if the department is gonna just, I can't think of the right word now, what you said, but if my client's gonna be out of the case and they're just gonna, drop the case as to him, then I don't really, that's fine. If he's going to stay in the case, then our position just is that he needs more time. I know he's in prison, but I don't think there's an active communication between the department and him right now about anything he can do to be present in his child's life. And I know that's very difficult with where he is and the child's age, but I don't think there's really communication going on right now. And so we want that communication if he's going to stay in the case, or if the department was going to attempt to terminate him. If that's not going to happen, and he's just going to be dismissed out of the case, then I don't know that we have a possession.
Yeah, I mean, they're just talking about ultimately leaving him right where we found him.
Which would be fine. Yeah.
Okay, Mr. Barfield,
Ma'am,
anything you need to weigh in on?
I am just dust in the wind, as the band Kansas would say.
Okay,
Mainly because with an unknown father, I have no input other than I don't think I have a position one way or the other because it really does not affect my client, as I don't know who or where my client is.
okay. And what we're talking about, ultimate disposition, isn't gonna prejudice his rights?
Absolutely not. That's why I'm not taking a firm position either way, is because either way, that would be correct.
Okay. Okay, gone. Anybody have anything else they want to tell me before I make a decision about this extension request?
Your Honor, I would like to say, from my perspective, I don't see this as being a huge long-term extension. I think we do need to ramp up the visitation and be working very actively to place him back in and monitor. So from my perspective, I don't see this as taking the full 6 months of an extension, but simply to allow us those months, that time to get him back in the home and to monitor for a little bit while he's in the home.
Okay. All right, y'all give me just a second.
And Judge, I apologize, but since my client is in the position that he is, may I be excused? I'm being asked to go into one of the courts to do a plea.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. I
You can
appreciate it.
check in with somebody and they'll let you know what we did.
I will, and I'll find out what the actual, what your Honor's decision was. Thank you, Judge.
Mr. Alia, are there any upcoming doctor's appointments?
Not that I'm aware of at this time. But I
Okay.
can find out.
Okay. I don't need to know right at this minute, but
Okay.
okay, another question. So obviously we've got 2 children that are school aged, so I know where they should be during the week, during school. What about Blaziana? Is she in any kind of daycare or is Ms. Jeffries just taking care of her?
If Jeffrey's taking care of her, she works like 1 a.m. to 7 a.m. So they go with grandma when she does work.
Okay. What time are these visits that with just Isaiah? When have we been doing those or trying to do those?
They're on Tuesdays. They were 11 to 12, now they're 11 to 1.
And mom is off at 7 a.m.
Yes.
Could those be moved into the afternoon, early afternoon, like 1 to 3 or something? I mean, that's, she's getting off work, grabbing a couple of hours sleep and then supposed to be at a visit.
I can discuss it with the FSW and see what her schedule looks like.
And I mean, Ms. Jeffries, would later in the day be better?
That would be fine. I honestly know that I did miss one appointment, a visit that was this week due to me being sick. I didn't want to be around my son while I'm sick. I'm currently still sick at the moment, and that's why I tried to reschedule his visit with him.
Okay. All right. I mean, it's certainly a valid reason. I'm just trying to find out if it would be, you know, a little bit later in the day would be better for you. So you've got, you know, a little bit longer you could sleep before you go to a visit.
Honestly, like I said, the last court session, I always make time for my son. It doesn't matter what time it is. I'm getting up to make those visits just to avoid things like this. Even with his doctor's visits, I'm not being told his doctor's visit till last minute. It was one visit that I didn't get to go to because they told me last minute and I had to work. I was not able to leave work or I would have got fired. So, and that's what I was telling them. I'm not being told when his doctor's visits is or anything like that, unless, and even when I asked them, I'm still not being told anything till the last minute. And I feel like a lot of stuff is being put on me when it shouldn't be my fault because the communication is totally off.
Okay. Well, all right. That still doesn't really answer my question though, which is, do you want to do them later in the day or you want to just leave it like it is?
Honestly, it really doesn't matter. I try to work with them. I know that they have things that they're doing themselves. So I just try to make whatever's best for both of us. I honestly cannot give a good answer to that.
What time does the child do breathing treatments?
Your Honor, I don't know the specific times. I know that it's in the morning and in the afternoon. I think whenever there was the unsupervised visit, they waited on it so that mom could do it at, I think, about 11. But I think normally it's a little bit before that.
But if her time slot was still the same, she could do that right at the beginning of a visit. Okay. Sorry, y'all, I'm just trying to think through a lot of things. Okay. I'm going to deny the request for the extension in the case in that I don't find any extraordinary circumstances exist as the statute contemplates. What I'm going to do is order a transitional monitored return to mom. So for the next 30 days, mom will have her visit each week with Isaiah one-on-one, in addition to then the family visit, but she'll administer that breathing treatment at that visit, whether we leave in morning or afternoon. I'm gonna let Mr. Outley discuss that further and Ms. Sapien with her client. So if the visit's still gonna be starting at 11, then she could do the morning one. If we're gonna move it to the afternoon, maybe she can do the afternoon one. But I want her doing those each week. And then I want her to attend any doctor appointment that may get scheduled. Now, that being said, she got to know enough in advance to arrange around work. So, so for the next 30 days, transitional monitored return, everybody might as well get in the posture of having close contact and communication with each other, because that's what's going to happen anyway under a monitored return. Ms. Jeffries, they'll be out on a weekly basis. So, you know, Ms. Sapien can fill you in about that, but your contact with the department or St. Francis is going to ramp up for a little while initially. So, that will reset the dismissal date. I don't know, Ms. Powell, if you had a chance to look at that.
Melinda, you're muted.
Well, darn, I gave an answer. Based upon the monitored return being ordered today, Judge, the new dismissal date will be August 18th, which is 180 days from today.
Okay. So I do not anticipate that we're going to stay involved that long, but, you know, and don't want us to, as long as everything's going well. But, you know, that gives us 30 days to try to work out some of these kinks and concerns. And I think based on how well the child is doing right now, I think that's sufficient for us to be sure that mom's got everything in place and is ready. So Ms. Jeffries, we're going to be in a little bit longer, but things go really well for, say the next couple months, then I can tell you, I'm going to be ready to just dismiss everything and let you guys get on with your life. Cause I think you've done very well. And, I don't see the reason to remain in this for a whole lot longer.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. Anybody got any questions?
Judge, I haven't done a transition monitored return order recently. Do we need to put a specific date of placement in the transitional order? I'm not real sure. You want me to just do 30 days from today?
Yeah, just do 30 days from today. I think that's safe. I don't remember that it's got to have a specific date, because sometimes those transitional components, there might be some fluctuation in that, but I just have to go back and look. I really don't know. So just say 30 days from today.
Okay.
Okay. Then anybody think there's anything else we need to talk about as far as a review, or have I kind of heard what I need to? I mean, we've covered a lot here as far as how the child's doing, mom, everything. Anything to add for a review hearing?
I don't think so.
Okay. I know the status on each of the followers and the unknown, so, okay. All right, then we'll go ahead and enter a review hearing order based on everything we've heard, and I find mom is in compliance, and I do not obviously find a continuing danger since we're finding the transitional monitored return. Yeah, continuing danger to place the child with any of the fathers, but not as to mom. So, okay, we'll continue the department as temporary managing conservator of all the children. Continue the placement of the 3 children with their mother, and then we'll get into this transitional monitored return over the next 30 days, and then Isaiah will be placed at home as well. Okay, appreciate y'all. I'll see you back. Our next review hearing will be June 16th of 2026. That's on a 9 o'clock docket. And then the final is set for August 11th of 2026 on a 9 o'clock docket, but I don't foresee we'll be in this, anything like that long. All right, I appreciate it. Thank y'all.
Thank you, Judge.